When I grow up, I really want to play a whole lot of sports. I want to play professional basketball, professional football, professional soccer, and I think if I train hard enough, I'll be able to accomplish my dreams. And I just really like the sport, playing and being really athletic. It's like being a superhero because you're so athletic and so talented. And the more I train, I think I can accomplish that.
More than 36 million youth between the ages of 5 and 18 play organized sports in the United States. Of those millions who play, less than 7% will go on to play in college. And of those athletes, less than 3% will eventually play professionally. This documentary will follow one young hopeful as he seeks to find out what it really takes to become a professional athlete.
I was originally born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I moved here when I was about 12. I moved to the Houston area when I was about 12 years old. My parents were both involved. My dad was an accountant. My mom was a school teacher. And my mom and dad both lost their job, and so we decided to move to Texas. We had some family here.
What was your favorite position when you played football?
My favorite position when I played football was receiver. Right, I like catching the ball, I get my hands out there, right, ready to go. And I love beating those guys off the line. What about you?
I agree. That's my favorite position. But on defense, deep zone.
Deep zone? So like safety, cornerback, those are all good positions.
Tackle's awesome because hitting people sounds fun.
Hitting people is fun, especially when you do it correctly, right? Yeah. So when you're out there playing receiver, make sure that you get your hands way out there so that you can catch the ball, right? So it's not hitting you off the chest and bouncing out. That makes sense?
And you need to exercise a lot.
That's right, you got to exercise a lot so you can be big and strong.
I have pull-up bars that I do, and I have big, huge muscles now.
That's good.
And I have abs.
And you have abs. Good. We did baseball, basketball in Louisiana. Those are my two main sports that I did. But when I did come here to Houston, there was a lot more opportunity. There's so many more youth sports around here, and so I got involved in baseball again and basketball as well, but I also got involved in other sports like football, hockey, other things like that. So in about 4th grade, I had a really good friend I met at school, the public school we went to, and he said, come over, I play hockey a lot. I said, cool man, let's play some hockey. So we played hockey for a little bit, and he was in a league, and I said, I want to get in this league. And so it was roller to start out with, and I played roller hockey for a while, and then I said, Dad, when I was about 12 years old, 10, 12 years old, I said I want to play ice hockey. And so we got involved in another league in ice hockey. So I was playing roller and ice at the same time, and then for a while there I was playing on different travel teams and stuff like that, and so it just progressed from there. I met some great friends. I mean, I met a lot of different people. We got to travel to so many different places. We played against all kinds of different people from all kinds of different states, and that was really interesting. We traveled to Colorado. One time we traveled all in Michigan. We traveled up north a lot because hockey isn't as prevalent down here, so we did have to do some traveling. But traveling and just being together as 12, 13, 14-year-olds, and just that fun time to be around other people who like something like you did. It was just really a fun experience to have together. And then the other part of it was the hard work. We probably practiced 2 or 3 times a night, or 2 or 3 times a week, and it was just about every other night. And I was playing hockey probably 7 days a week at that point. So either if I wasn't practicing, I was playing a game. So I was playing on about 3 or 4 different leagues when I was about 14 years old, all at the same time. Right now, I'm a math teacher at a junior high, so 7th and 8th grade. I'm also a coach. I coach all girls sports, volleyball, basketball, and track. So I do three different seasons. And coaching middle school, you're gonna see things like some of the kids don't have the money to buy shoes that they need. Like if we're talking about basketball, they need court shoes. If we're talking about volleyball, they need knee pads, things like that. Whereas when you go to a league, most of those parents can afford those things. They have to pay to be a part of that league, so they already know that they need some necessities to be playing this sport, And it just goes on from there. Hopefully that we can, as a public school teacher and as a coach at a public school, I would love to have some of those things be provided more often for those kids, because that, number one, keeps them out of trouble. It makes them, it gives them a drive in life to have, to do something else. And hopefully it keeps them in school and engaged, Between the two, I mean, when you get a kid that has been coached before, they've got some sort of skills outside of school. They've learned something either from a parent, from another coach as well, or an athlete watching, film and things like that. You definitely can tell a difference between somebody who's never played that sport, who's trying their hardest, but they don't have the skills yet to do that. So, but yeah, there's definitely a big difference. There's kids that have the skill and they've been practicing doing that versus kids that don't. From the ages of about 14, maybe 12 to about 14, all the way up till I was about 22, I really believed that I was going to play hockey professionally. I even wanted to go, I thought in college, I said, I'm going to go to Michigan, University of Michigan. I said, that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to get a scholarship there, I'm going to go to Michigan. And it didn't all work out in the same way, but one of the biggest deals for me is, number one, I didn't put all the time that I needed to. And that's something, I mean, like I said, there's always somebody out there who's putting in that time. If you're not putting in, somebody else is. And the second thing is I wanted to have a life outside of hockey. I wanted to start, I met a girl and I wanted to start a life with that. And I had a good education and I needed to go forward from there. When it comes to middle school, I mean, you're in the age of, especially for boys and girls, you're in the age of getting to that, what am I going to be? Coming into, getting ready to go to high school, what am I going to be? What am I going to do with my life? And they're going through that stage where maybe they don't believe, something that's being said from an adult who knows a little bit more, and they want to try and figure it out themselves. And that's the stage of, they're curious. They want to know what's going to happen from here. So they try a bunch of sports or different things as well, band, whatever, and they find out I don't like this or I do like this, and that hopefully either the drive catches them and they go forward from there. Do they have as much drive as their parents have for them, or is the parent making them do that, or do they have more drive than their own child? Does the child really want to do this is really the question. Do they want to play football? Do they want to play whatever sport they want to play? What is that drive the child has? Are they just doing it because somebody told them, hey, you can go to the NFL and you can make money because you're the best? What is the child's drive, I think? I've seen hundreds of people that I have seen that have potential to be great, whether it's people I've played with in other sports or that it's people that I've coached. A lot of times, it's that drive. What do they want to do? Where are they wanting to go in their life? Do they want to be this, or is it just something that somebody told them it needs to be their dream? So I think there are lots of people that have that drive. But it's a day in, day out consistency you have to have. I mean, look at players like J.J. Watt. I mean, he never stops. He always is working. There's not one day where he stops, So you have to have something has to drive you forward. So my biggest advice for you, bud, when you're playing sports is to make sure that you have good grades, make sure that you're being healthy, you're eating right, exercising, and then the last thing is that you're practicing every day. You got to practice that sport in some way every day, whether it's a little bit or a lot, every day, okay? Do something outside, make sure you're getting your exercise in for that day.
I wouldn't say I have great grades. I need better grades.
You need better grades?
I have like C's and B's.
Yeah. That's how you're going to get smarter.
But is that enough to play in college?
I think if you keep working at it and strive for A's but get C's and B's, I think you'll be okay. You keep doing what you're doing.
Okay, good. Because that's what I'm scared. Mostly my grades, that's more what I'm scared of.
That's what you're scared of?
You gotta play in college to be in the NFL.
It's gonna be hard. You can do it though. Keep working.
Maybe.
In my own personal life, I am way more happy not being a professional athlete. I think they live a tough life. I think depending on what sport you play and where you play that sport, number one, if you had a family, you have to move that family with you wherever you go. You could get traded at any time. You might lose your job because you just run out of, there's somebody else who's better than you. I mean, it's a very demanding thing, and it's a job. It's a day in, day out job. I think where I'm at right now, I wouldn't change anything. I love my family. I love the people I'm around. I love what I do. But I think if I could go back and be a professional player, I would try it for 1 year, and I think that would be it. I just don't think that I don't think I would love being on the road away from who I have around me now. I think I just love my life where it is right now.
Why did you choose to play tennis? Like all the sports, you would have choose. Why tennis?
Well, I didn't really choose tennis. Tennis kind of chose me.
My dad started playing with Maisie when she was 2. He put a ball on a string and said, watch this. And she was 2 and she would hit the ball. Just boom, 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 boom. Hours and hours and hours. And when she was 3, he talked me into putting her into tennis lessons. And that's where it began.
So without your grandpa doing that, you probably wouldn't have played tennis.
I probably would have
Or got very, very, very good at tennis.
probably would have picked me up like at 6 or so, like most kids. I started when I knew that I really wanted to go pro and stuff. I started like getting more focused. Like every time I wanted to win a shot badly, I would just plan out ahead the point, and I'll be like, okay, they're gonna hit it here. I have to hit it there and hit there, and boom, boom, boom. That's how I knew I was gonna get them. And when I figured I could do that like every point, I knew I could go pro with that special talent.
It's like, okay, I don't want to crush your dreams, so I'm going to say, let's do this. And I told her, that's fine, if that's what you want to do, I support it, but you got to work really hard. And if I work really hard for your dream, you have to work really hard for your dream. So.
She said, like, the way she reacted was that she was like, okay, I'm on board with it, but you have to give the work in too. I can't be giving in the work, and your coach can't be giving in the work, and you're like giving like 60%. Like, say I pay $100 for my bill, and you're paying $50. Why isn't that fair? That's not fair. You should be able to pay $100, or I should be paying $50. One of the two. So I'm like, okay, so I have to give my 110%.
Who's your favorite tennis player?
Rafael Nadal.
Why?
Because he's a lefty, and not many people are born being a left-hander, so it's really cool to see someone be a lefty in the sport of tennis.
And because you're a lefty?
Yes. The way he plays is so like fun to watch him, because when you watch Wajo and them, it's like cool, but that's normal the way they play. When you watch Waffle, it's intense, it's nail biting. You have to get off your chairs. It's like he does those cool banana shots and stuff. My coach is Giovanni, but we call him Gio for short, and he's a really good coach, and he does a lot for me because he's a righty, except I'm a lefty, so he takes his time and effort to put in to help me, because when he began, he forgot that I was a lefty, and so he has to train lefty in order to help me, and so he really likes me, and he really wants to go pro, because his dream is to be a professional coach, and my dream is to be pro, and he thinks he could take me to the top. The cool thing is, like, he knows what he's talking about, so you can't be like, are you sure about that? Because he knows exactly what he's talking about and how to do it correctly, because he has the experience from being a professional tennis player, so it's good.
Coach Giovanni, he's amazing. He's been just so supportive and so honest with Maisie. And he's been through it himself, so he's told her all aspects. And but I think the thing that really got me was how supportive and what an amazing coach he's been with her. Just really big on technique, and I like that a lot. So. I think with me, tennis, it's such a one-person sport, and it's very costly, and it's like kind of playing the lottery, if you will. You know, it's going to take a lot of money to win. It's going to take a lot of money to win and be number one in the world. There's only one number one player, one female, one male, And it's a lot of work, and you have to be determined and driven and motivated, and it's just a lot of work. I think Maisie has a really good chance. But I think what she's going to get out of the voyage is going to make her a remarkable person, and that's what keeps me motivated. So even if she isn't number one, say she's 150, she's still going to be an amazing person through this voyage. But I think she has a good shot. I've never seen anybody with a heart that truly loves this sport and everything that it takes to get there. I think she's got a good shot.
If you really like the sport and love it and you care for it, like if you would ever try to quit, and you can only last like 2 minutes, then you know it's the sport and you have to go for every shot. Because if you go for every shot and you love the sport and you can't quit, that's how you know you should go professional. I'm going to be the #1 tennis player someday in the world.
I'm a mental health therapist, and I work with individuals and couples and kids and adults. Where I work with kids, it's a lot of depression or anxiety. Usually it's school pressures and friend groups and those kinds of things. Sometimes it is sports, because nowadays people have their kids in these club things that are like every day, and they kind of get burned out on them, and they want to quit, or take a break, and it's not always a good idea. So having them try to figure out what's best for them and being able to just take a break and go back if they want. So.
What influences you the most, or did influence you the most?
I think Mia Hamm and Julie Foudy.
I started when I was 8 years old, and my mom, I think she signed me up because she wanted to be able to put me and my brothers all in the same thing, so she wasn't running around going crazy, taking us everywhere. So my goal was to always beat my older brother, which I never did. But once I learned how to play on the first team that I played on, and I think it had always been competitive. Then we started going to tournaments, or I was picked up by other teams going to tournaments, and so the summers were tournaments, and we had spring and fall soccer where I lived. And so I don't remember it not being competitive, and that might have just been me. But
Do you have any bullies as a kid growing up that they kind of let you down, or not let you down, but that you didn't like it very much?
You know what? No, I didn't. Thank goodness. Especially not like you hear about now, but I think that there were times my younger brother had some bullies, and I had to take up for him at times. Even when the kids were bigger than me, I was kind of scared, but I still stood up for him. I was the person that always stood up for the underdog, or the person in the class that nobody would sit by, I'd go sit by them. So
That's the same with me.
So it's like, and my friends would be like, don't go sit by them, you're gonna get sick, or you're gonna catch something. And I just would stare at them. I didn't even know what to say sometimes. I just stare at them and sit down. I'm like,
I played on women's leagues until I moved to New Mexico, and they didn't really have any women's teams where I lived. And one of the high school coaches invited me to play on their men's team. So I happened to be the only woman in the men's league. So, but we'd have to drive like an hour to the games and stuff. So I had people there asking me to be on the women's teams, but I didn't want to drive back and forth. It's like 2 hours of driving just to play. In high school, I was in Campus Crusade for Christ, and they have a sports group called Athletes in Action. So I had people write letters for me because I wanted to play on their soccer team. I actually played professional soccer before college.
Why did you choose to play professional soccer?
I think I just kind of fell into it. I just had the opportunity, and it took the first step and the next step and the next step to keep going, and so I just ended up, that's where I ended up. So
I played professionally 84, 85, and then college was probably 85 and after that. Probably more like 86. Well, in Europe, each town has its own team, and so your goal is to be able to play for that team. And then you can kind of move up from there, and they have they start really young. So it's kind of like the club of the towns, and then the towns will play each other. So you try to make the next level of the team. And so we just took the train and went to all these towns and played their little club teams in the towns. And so that's kind of how it worked then. So when I was playing, they didn't even have a U.S. women's team. Soccer wasn't real big. That was back in the 70s and 80s. So it wasn't until the mid 80s that, and it probably wouldn't have even been considered a professional team because they didn't have the soccer wasn't in the Olympics. They didn't have the Women's World Cup yet. So, or if they did, the U.S. never had a women's team. So I was probably in my 30s before I was actually in my mid-30s when the women's team started playing.
I want to play a professional sport when I grow up, and one of them that I'm thinking about is soccer. What advice do you have for me?
okay, I think one is to always practice and focus on the technical stuff too, like the skills, and work on your skills even when you're not at practice, so you can develop those skills, that ball control a lot better. And then just don't give up and take those opportunities that come across that are going to get you there. So just keep playing. That's it. And have fun.
It's like once kids are really good, then they kind of stay with it for a little bit, but then there's that, it's kind of like overkill when you're practicing every day and then traveling for all the games, and that's been a lot of the complaints with the kid that I see in my office from the high school, is that they don't have time for their friends, and they just want to be able to do stuff on the weekend with their friends, at least one day. But since they're traveling or playing soccer all the time, they don't get that. Finding a balance in anything we do is difficult, even as adults. So I think it'd be even more difficult as kids, but I think what people expect is your friends are going to be on the team, and that's not always the case. People usually have friends outside of that. So it's just making time for what is best for you at the time. So, and what happens if you skip a practice or don't go, it's like, what are the punishments for that? And I think that's where, it's like a lot of these places don't even allow, if you're not at practice, then you don't play. So, which makes sense. But, so there's the pressure there in the clubs for that. And I think it just depends on the encouragement that the coach gives. And, it's like everybody wants to be encouraged. So some coaches don't realize, it's like I think women or even girls need to be, if you yell at them, that they'll shut down a lot of times. But if you encourage them, they'll do better. Guys, it's like that whole theme of football. It's like the coaches are, grabbing their mask and yelling at them, and they're like, okay, I'll go do that, So that kind of motivates the guys a little, but it does not with women. So it depends a lot on the coach and their understanding of who's on their team and how to work with each player, and the parents. Sometimes it's the parents that are pushing, and the kid doesn't want to play, or wants a break, or but doesn't know how to tell the parents. Not all the clubs are the same. So it might be that your kid isn't liking where they're at, try a different club. Don't stick with one thing, and then if that doesn't work, then it's over, kind of a thing. So try different things and different clubs. And don't give up, but be smart with, and research what are the best camps, what are the best schools to go to, if that's what you really want to do, because it's just like any other professional sport, you need to get noticed. And it's hard for people from college that are going to try out for the professional teams to even get noticed. Some of them the coaches don't even see them at the tryouts. So you need to be noticed while you're still in college, probably. So be smart about where you're going to go and where you're going to play and the camps you go to and those kind of things. Kind of like the Dynamo team, the men's team have the junior team, and go in that direction because they get a lot of their players from those, I guess, farm teams. I think I would have tried to pursue playing professional, and I probably would have gone to a school that had a good team that the scouts are looking at because they're always ranked pretty high. I would have focused my education more that way, but I probably in the end would have done the same thing. So.
I think from interviewing all these people, it kind of makes me feel, it did actually make me feel doubt a little bit more about me being a professional athlete, and that I should maybe focus on a little bit less than what I really want to do. But I still think that I can be a professional athlete no matter what. So just because of that, I still think I can be a professional athlete. It did make me feel like that was a lot of work though, because there was a young tennis player, because she worked about 6 or 8 hours every single day working on her tennis, but she was only 11s, and that made me feel that that's a lot of work just for an 11-year-old to be handling every single day. And I know that I would actually want some TV time and stuff like that. But I feel like I work every single day though hard enough that I may not be the best, but I think that I don't care. I just want to be a professional athlete. That's what I want my life to be.